All right, good morning, everybody. Jared Sebesta here. So glad you're joining us on another edition of Life-Undeferred Open Mic. Appreciate you tuning into these. These are really fun for me. As you probably may have heard, my identity got stolen about a month ago and lost some of my biggest platforms. And so I just started doing these streams fairly regularly, just as a platform to talk a little bit, share what's on my heart, on my mind, what I'm going through, and bring in some really cool guests as well. So I've got a really special guest for you here in just a moment. I'm so excited to start this conversation with my friend Jenna. Really quickly, we're rounding out the year, literally the last few hours of the year. And something I continue to encourage people to do is think about who you want to become this time next year. I have seen such growth, expansion in my own life. And it started with like Q4 of the year before. Developing that vision of who you want to become. Where is your most highest, most abundant self getting displayed for the world in its fullest expression? How is your superpower or superpowers being displayed in physical form? Develop that type of vision for your life. Proverbs 16:9 says, man develops the vision, God directs his steps. Literally utilize that bit of ancient wisdom to your advantage. So many people are setting goals this time of the year. Goals are great, but goals without vision don't work. We need to have the vision. The goals are great, and also the day-to-day tactics and tasks as well. So you kind of have to have the full picture. To me, I'm a visionary, so I always want to start with the vision. Some people are more task-oriented and goal-oriented. That's great, but you're going to really have to force yourself into developing that vision as well. So if you haven't done that, spend these last couple of days, hours of 2024 and develop that vision for yourself, December 31st, 2025. And let me tell you something, if that vision doesn't get you excited, if that doesn't give you a visceral reaction, then you need to think bigger. You need to mull on this a little bit more, because your vision should excite you, because that resonates with your soul. That's your most authentic self coming out into full array for the world to see. And if that doesn't resonate with your soul and give you a visceral reaction, then I would just challenge you, mull on that a little bit more and sit on that just a little bit more. So a little tidbit here before we get started with our next guest. Speaking of my next guest, I would love to bring her on. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. She's a sister from another mother, because we even name our kids the same names. When I chatted with her the first time, there was certainly just some sort of synergy there. She's a mindset guru, businesswoman, business coach, dream igniter. I could go on and on. The wonderful, the beautiful Jenna D'Annunzio. Thanks for joining me.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I want to get right into it. I'm curious to know, as we're kind of wrapping up here, 2024, how would you describe your 2024 and just kind of some general themes? How did it play in your movie?
How did it play in my movie? It was probably one of the most confusing and curious and clear years of my life. And probably that order.
First, you said confusing right away, so explain that one.
Yeah, well, I have a very unique business model, and where I'm, it's coming from a family business. My father founded our company. And so it was about, I want to say 18 months ago for me, that I really realized, as he is trending down, I have this incredible opportunity to really step into my greatness, and had absolutely no idea what that meant. And or kind of just go status quo and leave my fate up to chance. And I recognized I either had a choice to go up, I could chance it, stay somewhat sideways, and risk literally falling into a potential crisis where I don't know what I'm doing anymore, and I'm done. Like, the business is gone, right? And so I made that conscious choice to really step up every day, step into it, navigate what that looks like on a regular basis, because it doesn't always look the same, as you know, as a busy parent and entrepreneur, and a very present parent. It's difficult to do both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I know that you know what I'm talking about. It's difficult to really be as present as you want. Yep.
This is my studio. You'll probably see
Right.
some of my children walk in and out of the background, which is fine. So I get it.
But well, exactly. And what you don't see is on the other side of this little corner of a room is like a playroom.
Right. Right.
With toys everywhere.
It's very, very specific why I'm pointing to this corner of the house, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. I told my kiddos, I said, all right, I'm going to hop on this call. And my son goes, okay, Mom, I'll turn down the TV a little bit.
Yeah. That's so funny. I literally said the same thing. I was like, if Bodhi is my baby, I was like, if he starts screaming, can you just like not leave him in the same room as you do with most of my live streams? Can we try that? Can we try something different today?
Just for fun. Displace him.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe take him in the garage. I don't know. We'll see. That's awesome. So how did it play out? Like how did you get here? Like you mentioned choice, right? And by the way, the topic today, I want to talk about money. Well, like our kind of
talk about money.
I want to get there, but like, so you made some choices, but how did that kind of like make it fit into how we arrived here today?
So I really leaned into expanding my network, right? Something that you and I have talked about in the past.
Yeah.
Uncovering some limiting beliefs around and improving on my money mindset. Yeah. Shifting as best possible from that mindset of things are an expense versus an investment.
That's big.
And also social media marketing. It was time to, kind of crap or get off the pot, as they say, right? And it all starts with our belief system. So I recognized that I had a deep-rooted limiting belief around what got me into this business and where I'm going to go next step, right?
Yeah.
This isn't new news. There's a million gurus out there that all originally say the same thing. And what got you to where you are today is not going to get you where you are tomorrow.
Bingo.
And so I really took a step back and recognized those three things: upping my social media marketing, shifting my entire money mindset from, oh my gosh, I don't, not enough, scarcity, this is an expense, I don't have it, to this is an investment in myself. And maybe if I don't have it right now, I will, because I know that dollars follow value.
I love that, and that's a great segue. I'll give you just kind of a meatball insight into how I view money, and I want to hear kind of the way you look at it. First of all, like, this is the time people are they're starting to set goals. They're maybe setting some business goals, some income goals. One little side nugget: people tend to get a little weird. I don't know if it's because of where I live. I live in the middle America. When we start talking about money, goals are big, family, all that stuff, and then we start talking about income goals, and people kind of get a little bit tentative, and that's maybe a side topic for another time. I'd be interested to hear your mindset on that. But like, as I look at myself, kind of what I said right before I brought you into the stream, right? Like, I'm envisioning myself, who I am at an expanded, higher version of where I am today.
Sure.
And I think about that guy, like that's the guy I want to become. Not that this guy's bad. This is not that's scarcity and lack. Like, I'm so happy and thrilled, and I'm proud of myself where I am today and where I was a year ago. But 100%. I want to keep growing. And I'm like, what is that guy making? And I tell myself, I encourage myself, and I encourage others, put on the goggles as if you are that guy, as if you are that gal and that businessman making that kind of money. What would he or she do today to get you there? Not in this current form, but there. What resonates with you from my little spiel there?
I would add, how does that person feel? And how is that different from how you feel today? Right? Is it relief? Is it abundance? What does that abundant mindset possibly feel like? Right? Because sometimes we don't recognize that we buy for emotion and then we justify it with logic. So when we tend to have that ability to lean into the emotion and the feeling, that right there is actually like sparks some intrinsic motivation.
Yes. Yeah.
Anandamines are that, Like, I'm out, school's out for summer, school's out for Christmas break. Like, that feeling is what we ultimately, internally, and like physiologically strive for. So if we can go to, how does that Jared feel in a year? And you're like, I feel tremendous amounts of relief, fulfillment. And then you're like, oh, all right, cool. Like, I feel relieved. Great. Why don't I feel relief right now? Like, what is that? How can I bridge that gap? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you bring up something so powerful, because I always talk about your state of being. It's how you think, how you act, and how you feel, right? Yeah. And there is no transformation unless there is a change in your state of being. Those three things make up essentially kind of how you exist, right? You know, in biblical terms, we talk about, like, you shouldn't be driven by your feelings, because your feelings are, will drive you down. And I kind of find myself I find myself kind of going, I'm trying to find that the bridge, the conflicted, where it's like, I want to be driven by my emotions towards a future self. But what is the difference between that and like being driven by my daily feelings, which can do this throughout even the hour? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. It's a concept that I call both and, which is probably one of the most difficult concepts, because we are almost internally bred to either I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Right? Either I'm being productive or I'm not. Either I go to the gym or I don't. And so this concept of both and recognizes it's a duality. It's a spiritual term called duality, where you can have two opposing emotions at the same time. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say, wait a second, I want to be aware of how I'm feeling. I just don't want those feelings to rule the roost if it's my lower self.
Right. That's
right. So if I'm coming from a place of scarcity right now, right, in the physical world, scarcity is real. As much as I would absolutely love to be able to look out here and say, oh, look at that pretty tree, it's growing money, yay me, right? That's not going to happen. In the metaphysical world, this is where dollars follow value. This is where we can shift and say, wait a second, I'm coming from a place of scarcity. I'm coming from a place of not enough. And that isn't serving me. Right. And so there's that duality between I'm allowed to have two emotions at the same time, and they're conflicting. And I'm going to make that conscious back to choice on what is going to serve me better in this moment.
That's a great point, because there's like, what I have to understand, what my wife reminds me of, is how you're feeling in this moment doesn't change the direction at which you are being trajected to, if you keep that state of consciousness in sight. For example, I've got my December 31st, 2025 self in sight. That's where I'm headed.
Yep.
In this moment, you just may have a great day, because that just happens. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, sometimes you wake up pumped. Sometimes you don't wake up pumped, right? But that doesn't change, to your point, duality. Like, it doesn't change the trajectory of the course just because of base how you're feeling today, even though you maybe have two kind of opposing emotions in the same space. You get a choice over which one you put in the driver's seat.
Yes. Okay. And this is why so many of us fall prey to, imposter syndrome. And those things where it's like, am I really being authentic if right now I don't want to get up and go to work? Right. I don't want to make my calls. I don't feel like getting up and creating content, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And it's like, your authentic self is telling you don't want to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to completely fall off the horse and that you don't still see those goals out front of you. Yeah. It just means right now, the ego thinking mind is ruling the roost. And so we're just going to say, hi, my friend fear, what are you trying to protect me from? Right? What's going on? And really kind of start to unpack why you feel that way and do some cognitive reframing. That's what I do with my guys and my girls in my coaching, is figure out where that fear is coming from. Figure out what's going on for you. Make friends with it. Don't get mad at yourself. It doesn't do you any good. Yeah. Try to understand where that scarcity mindset's coming from.
there's a ton there, and we could unpack that for hours. I love that. Let's turn the corner towards just kind of finances, like money, our favorite topic. I'm joking, by the way, but at the same time too, like, as a business person, entrepreneur, as a person who wants to grow and expand, this is part of the equation. What is your relationship with money? I have heard, and again, I'll just tell you kind of what I have heard, some of my beliefs, and just kind of, this will get the conversation started. Money isn't something you chase. It's something you attract. Money is attracted to similar energy. I've heard it said money is really just energy. When you put it in motion, it wants to move and do its thing. It's intrinsically amoral, so to speak. And we've talked about that. And probably people know that. What I try to do is I try to align my state of being, my thoughts, my actions, and my emotions in alignment to my most abundant self that serves humanity in its greatest way. And when I do that, I don't have to go and chase money. It then becomes a channel that runs through me.
Yeah.
And like, we don't have to go create money. There's plenty of money out there, right? There's billions of dollars in the GDP. I don't know the exact number, but like all you have to do is create a channel for it to be attracted and run through you. Now, I just threw a smattering of like philosophical, jargon at you. How do you view that in your life, in your future?
So I would add to your various and amazing definitions of money. I align, and that all those resonate with me deeply. I would also add that they are your wisdom in the marketplace. Your money, if it's energy, it's also your wisdom. And so when I look at money, most people see it as the dollar bill, the coin. That is currency. That is a barter tool. That is something that people exchange for something else. But money, our money mindset is really our wisdom and that my own natural energy yield. It is an energy. And dollars, that currency, dollars follow value. So the more value that you are creating in the marketplace, together we are co-creating value. That we are one day hoping what will come back to us as we put out all of this value into the world are dollars.
Yep.
Right? It's a constant exchange of energy, and it just looks different than what most people and what we, even us, have been bred to understand. And it's solely based on our belief systems from our moms, our dads, our grandmas, our grandpas, our aunts, our uncles, our great grandmas, and so on and so forth. Right? I always tell this really funny story. My grandmother, she was babysitting my cousins and I, and we'd played all the games. We were super bored. And she goes, well, why don't you go clean up the back room and I'll pay you? So here we're like, yeah, we're going to get some money, and we clean everything up. And then she hands each of us a quarter. And we were like, and this was even in the 90s. We were like, what the heck are we going to do with this? A quarter?
Gumball.
Right. And it was one of those things where I went back and I talked to my dad and he said, well, honey, a quarter at your age when your grandmother was young fed the family. And when you really take a global perspective of that entire conversation and concept, can we really understand where our deep-rooted beliefs come from relative to money? And when we choose to bring those very old school beliefs into our here and now, of course we're coming up in scarcity.
Yeah.
Of course we're energizing that there is not enough money for us. We forget that what you and I are doing right now, creating value, sharing wisdom, that's our real money. Dollar bills and coins are just currency that we trade.
Yeah, and what I hear you saying is like it's alignment again, and I want this, and I want people on this call to understand like what you have to offer does create value, but so many people don't. They never step into that because, as you just mentioned, you're playing a game that it's very difficult to win. It may be a game that our grandparents played, or maybe it's a game that just doesn't really work. Again, just exchanging time for money lots of times just doesn't is becoming harder and harder in today's world, especially. I'm seeing statistics of these these people coming out of college and stuff, you know, and they're making 50 grand, but it's like, it takes 80 just to live comfortably, and they've got debt. And so that's a game that's going to be very difficult to win. But at the same time too, I don't want to disempower people to say like, you can't make it in this world, because you can. I think everybody can have the full abundance, not just financial, everything. Right. And so the way that I had to shift that is I had to re-engineer how I thought about making money. And I did that 2 years ago, and started kind of with conversations where you and I first met, where I need to understand, where is my genius? Where is my specific gifting? Understand that, and then literally create an income source around that. However, that has to be in alignment with my authentic self, and it has to help fellow man. If it doesn't do those things, it will not be in alignment, and therefore that channel of abundance and money is now closed off. And so I was just having a conversation last night with a realtor. I bumped into him at a restaurant, and realtors they're in a tough spot right now, and I really feel for realtors. But he was really just, he's been so successful, and he's been doing this for 25 years, and he's just like, he's like, you just can't make it. He just kind of said that. He's like, you just can't make it in this world. And I was like, just be careful, buddy, what you say. Because I go, you're trying to play a game with a model that's broken, which you may or may not be able to win. But to say that you just can't make it, that is suggesting that your authentic self is not good enough to allow God's abundance to flow into your life. You know what I'm saying? And so right there, like, bam, limiting mindset. And so I think what you're saying too is like, be very, very careful of that dialogue that happens whenever you think about your future and this world. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. That's a big one.
I mean, it's our programming.
Yeah.
It is our programming. It's like looking at our brain, and our mind is like a computer. Right? And the computer is running constant programs that we don't, or our cell phone that we don't even realize. And so if you are running a scarcity mindset, especially around business and around money, and a virus slowly starts to leak in there that's saying, well, I just can't make it. There's just not enough. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. Then, of course, guess what's going to come back? That's why we said money is an energy. It's my own energy yield.
I think two people need to understand that may look different than the game you're playing now. You know what I mean? Like
nine out of 10 times it does.
Right, exactly.
People walking on this earth.
Right.
It absolutely does.
Right. And so like, if you're going to your point, if you're going to play a game that your grandparents played and try to play that in 2025, it may not work. But to say that you can't win, to me, that's a pretty bold statement. I would challenge you, is not true, but it may look very different. It may take you stepping into, by the way, you stepping into your abundant self in 2025. So you have an unrecognizable year 1 year from today, where you look back and you're like, I'm really proud of that guy. I'm really proud of that Jenna. But like this Jenna is so much more evolved. It will take a little risk. And I don't mean like financial risk, but you will have to, it will make you step into the uncomfortable. Let me say it that way. You will have to do very uncomfortable things. By the way, quitting your W-2 job at 46 years old with 4 kids, that made me a little uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest. Like that was uncomfortable, you know. And I had a lot of my family being like, "What are you doing there, buddy?
Are you crazy, dude?" Yeah.
But this is where faith and trust comes in.
Yeah.
Like
in yourself and in God and in the universe.
Yes.
This is what acceptance mode looks like. I accept that no matter what, the universe and God has my back.
Right. And that's so big. That's so big. Because if you miss out, and explain that a little bit, if you don't have that one, you will never take any chances, because you always believe the world is fighting against you. Talk about that a little bit, because you called me out on that one too.
I did call you out on that one. What did you used to say? The world is a dark place or something like that?
Dark broken place. That's the way that was always my mindset for years.
Yeah. And so, and I humbly submitted, I think it's a beautiful light place. I think everybody that's walking on this earth has their own stuff to overcome, their own struggles to work through. But I truly believe, and it's a more serving way to be. Amen. When you look at, you know what, everybody's a wonderful person. They're dealing with a series of programs and beliefs that are tough, but the people principle, I always say this is a people principle. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. even the worst human beings on this planet are still doing the best they can. That's the best that they got. Mm-hmm. Based on their beliefs, based on their programming, based on their genetics, predisposed with some mental health stuff. That's literally the best that they can do. And I think you said something that was important too, that I want to come back on relative to risk. And sometimes it is financial risk. Mm-hmm. The 2024 was the first year that I can genuinely say I invested dollars, and quite a bit of them, in me and my business. And that was terrifying. Mm-hmm. And I have never done anything like that before. And my first initial ego thinking mind, my reptilian brain was, you're out of your darn mind. How are you going to replace this? You've never done this before, right? This was the first year that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I flew on the other side of the country to a women's entrepreneur retreat where I knew no one, just based on somebody from LinkedIn telling me that they heard this was a good one. Mm-hmm. So really, thank you. And I'm not saying this by any stretch of the means to fish, but I am saying there are risks that we get to take, not that we have to, but that we get to take, that you will have to exchange currency for. Yeah. And trust in God, trust in the universe, whomever you believe, trust in, if it's the trees, great, trust in the trees. That it will come back twofold when you are energizing from a place of love.
I love that. We live in a cause and effect universe, and that's a universal law, no matter what you believe in. And so you have to trust in that. By the way, I've even heard, like, here he comes. I told you, you want to make it appearance. You can have faith without trust. Like, trusting is so much even deeper than that. I can resonate with what you said, because I left my W-2 job in July. Mm-hmm. And immediately started upping my spending by about 2x. If you look at like my monthly cash flow outflow, it went up 2 to 3x after I quit my job. Old Jared, scarcity Jared, would actually cut it in half. And so I look back and I'm proud of myself, because it was like, I was poor. I wrote a book. I mean, that was a 5-figure check written to a book publisher. I'm buying books. I'm planning parties. I'm creating platforms, because
you did it right.
But it was scary as all get out. And I got my identity stolen. I'll tell you the story, because you'll appreciate this. I just at the beginning of December, I closed out the books for November. Mm-hmm. I had my identity stolen. Money was stolen out of my accounts. I got most of that back. I'm happy to say, but some of that hit the books before it was refunded. You know what I'm saying? Of course. November was a very expensive month. I did a book launch party. Mm-hmm. There was 4-figure checks being written like almost daily throughout the heart of November. If you look at the amount of money that left my account in November, even with the fraud, versus what came in, it was within $1.68, Jenna.
Oh my God.
$1.68. When I did,
you can't even get a cup of coffee for that anymore.
Now, old scarcity Jared would be like, holy crap, I spent everything that came in. Yeah. Jared, who thinks differently, says, wow, I can trust. Yeah. You're literally taking care.
I'm still in the green.
It's getting taken care of. I can continue to move forward and take, I'm using air quotes here, risk on myself, and you will take care of it. That is like that. It brought me so much peace. Yeah. And so as I think about how I want to be and become financially in 2025, I cannot be afraid, nor should I be afraid. That doesn't give me the excuse to go gamble and bet everything on red. I'm not suggesting that, but like, to your point, how do we want to have breakthrough in our finances in 2025? Trust, invest, get uncomfortable, do things that make you uncomfortable financially now, because it doesn't take faith to do them at the end of 2025 when all the money's in. Then you write the checks. Like that concept to me is so powerful, because we get a say. Now I can get a say as to how big I want to grow and become in 2025 based on my actions today. But I got to tell you, as you have experienced, it will make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
How are you making decisions today to project and propel you financially into 2025?
How am I making decisions today to project and propel me for 2025? So I have a great and trusting money coach and financial advisor. And anytime anybody within my circle comes to me, I'm always like, do you have one? Do you have one? Like, take mine, have mine, like, and not for any other reason than I know how valuable it is to be able to have that person on a dime whenever something comes up for me from a financial standpoint and say, hey, am I good here? Like, holy crap, my identity was just stolen. Holy crap, we just totaled our car. We need a brand new one. Like, holy crap, or we want to go, we want to take the kids to Disney. Girl, you're fine. Go. What do you need? Like, we've created a plan for you. We know what you want to accomplish. My advisor and I, we have such a trusted relationship. And I always say trust is the currency of the 21st century. It really is. And there's been times where I would call her up and I'll just say, oh my God, we need a new truck. Like, holy crap. And now everything is $600 a month. Like, it's insane. And she's like, all right, you're good. We got this. Right. I share my business vision. I share my goals with her and say, this is what I want to accomplish in 2025. And I'm pretty sure I get to invest over here and over here. And so she just helps me move things around, because I got to be honest with you. I don't know a lot about that stuff. That's not my sole purpose. That's not my unique ability. That's hers. That's why I have her.
Yeah.
So building out your network in all different ways so that no matter what, you have aligned with people that have your back in areas that is not your sole purpose. Does that make sense?
I love that. Having people in your corner that can give advice. For me, I have people in my corner, and they keep this guy. They keep this guy in line, and I meet with them. I meet with them weekly, and I need that, because otherwise, old Jerry will sneak back. You know what?
He always will. You can't get rid of him. He's back here.
He's hanging out back there, and he wants to show up in those dark days. You wake up and you're like, what am I doing? And I think that is a constant battle. And I think that ego is there to keep us sharp. I think it has to be there. And from what I understand, as you grow and expand, that voice doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying? And I think I've
learned to manage it. It's just about managing the ego thinking mind. Like, for any of us, he just wants you to survive. He's there for a reason. He's the caveman, right? 250 million years ago, that wants to make sure that you still have food on the table and a roof over your head for you and your family. So really, he's just there to help you survive.
Yeah. I love that. I want to start landing this plane. I want to hear, like, as we look ahead, 1 year from today, we are like sitting at the end of 2025. You mentioned like really identifying that scarcity and that lack, and that resonates so much with me, because that's how I lived for so long, and I've been able to rise above that, keep my head above that, and I've watched so much momentum in my life as I've stayed above that and just stayed focused on my higher self. What is something you are doing, or you could give a little nugget? Again, you just helped co-author a book called Cracking the Code. I love these hacks. Like, how do you crack the code? Like, what is something I love that, and we're kind of running out of time here to talk more about that. But I love the title, Cracking the Code. Like, what is that? What is another nugget we haven't talked about yet that you do, or you encourage the people you coach to, like, crack the code? If you do this, or think about this, or execute this discipline, it like takes the cap off our finances and our future.
Yeah. So cracking the rich code is identifying what actually rich means to you, because rich in and of itself is subjective and it's multidimensional. And so when somebody thinks rich, they immediately think money, and that's fine. They can. But what does that actually mean for you? What would be taking you out of your comfort zone, but feels really good, logical, intuitive, manageable for you in that moment? Whether it's income, whether it's you generating a certain amount of revenue in your business, whatever that is, really being able to identify so that you can then backpedal and co-create together. That's what I do. And co-create key performance activities that you get to do in order to reach that specific goal and what you've defined as rich.
Love that. I love that.
I support my clients in co-creating a really strategic plan for what they've identified living a rich, successful life that they love looks like.
Amen. I love
that.
And
if it's business wise, great. And if it's got nothing to do with business, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. I love what you teach. It really is so parallel to the way that we are articulating this. It's really the same concept. It's identifying who you want to become in all areas. It's in your most highest abundant self. It's then creating that vision, changing the state of being, how we act, how we feel, and how we think. We've touched on all three. We don't have a money tree. This one also does not grow money. But yeah, gosh, I wish it would. But at the same time too, a friend of mine asked me, he's like, how's business? And what are you thinking for 2025? And I said to him, I go, I don't know what the future holds, but I'm more confident and certain than ever that it will be bigger than I can imagine, because I am in this co-creating relationship. And I trust and I believe, not because like I'm just crossing my fingers, hope to die, praying he's going to give me $1 million next year. It's because there's such alignment in what I'm doing. I trust the universe is for me. I trust that we live in a cause and effect world, that if I do the things that are in alignment to that guy, they will come to fruition. They may not come to fruition tomorrow, but
you are, buddy. You are. Because here we are on a Sunday morning, right?
Right.
What did I tell you? I was like, I had no plans to really do much this entire week. Now I've gone against that. I've done some stuff. I've done some content and whatnot, but you are doing those key performance activities. You are. And so I can trust in your faith and in your ability to keep showing up. That's all anybody has to do is keep showing up.
I love that. I love it. That's a great way to end this conversation. Jenna, you're the best. I love it. I have taken so much of your time. I call like about, just so everybody watching this, about once a quarter, I'm like, Jenna, let's hop on a call. Jenna, hey, what are you doing at 8:00 tomorrow morning? You want to hop on a call? So like I have solicited and utilized your time probably more than anybody in my network, but I enjoy these conversations.
I love it. Yes, and we flow.
And we have a daughter, both named with the same name, spelled exactly the same, and also a similar personality. So there's some sort of like cosmic connection there. I haven't fully identified it.
No, I couldn't agree more. Yep. And I actually forgot that she had lacrosse this morning. So I was like, oh, hon, you got to take her. I got to hop on a call.
Oh, you bet. All right, cool. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. I'm gonna let you go. You go enjoy your day. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Happy New Year.
It's awesome. Happy New Year, too. And we'll talk soon. I'll be bugging you again in a week or two, so don't worry. You can't. You ain't getting rid of me yet.
I don't want to. You're good. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Jenna D'Annunzio with Mission Driven Advisor and Soul Purpose Institute. Go check out her book, Cracking the Ridge Code. She wrote a chapter in there, which is really, really cool. I'm excited for her and for the message of that book. So a lot of good stuff here today. Again, you get a say, you get a choice. It comes down to your mindset. It comes down to your state of being, how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And like I said at the beginning of this, if you have not developed that vision for who you want to become, your most abundant, highest self for 2025, for the end of 2025, it starts there. And start creating an existence around that. Start acting as if that person has come to full fruition. Feel that person. We're not driven by emotion, but feel deep in your soul what it would feel like for that to come to fruition. By the way, a little side nugget. As you see me here today, as an author, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a mentor, that was all engineered a year and a half ago. I mean, the way that you see me right now, this has all been engineered, and it took a year and a half ago. This did not exist a year and a half ago, but I saw it and I felt it, and I did things back then to get me here. I acted as if I was that guy back then, and that helped me give me peace when I was writing those checks, making those investments, And it made me very uncomfortable. But it seems like when we are in the uncomfortable, that's when things really, really happen that we cannot explain. And so I'm challenging you, and I'm even challenging myself, because as we round out these last couple of days of 2024, I'm really challenging myself. What does that look like for me in 2025 to expand and grow? And like I just said with Jenna, I don't know what the future holds, but I do trust and I have confidence, because I'm in alignment, that it will come to fruition and I don't have to worry. God in the universe will take care of me, and he has, and he will continue. And so I want you to believe that. Guys, thanks for joining us. If you are still hanging on to this call, God bless you. If you want to reach out, chat more, have questions, please visit my website, jaredsebesta.com. I've got a free download on there that coincides with the book. If you don't have the book yet, you can check it out on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, reach out to me personally, jared@jaredsebesta.com. I'd love to get a signed copy in the mail for you and for any of your loved ones or friends. All right. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Life-Undeferred Open Mic. We're going to do it again. Hopefully I'll get my platforms back. Even if we do, I'm probably still going to do these little chats. Enjoy your day, guys. Love you. We'll talk to you soon.